raised the alarm. Police officers began to organise the evacuation of the hall. Sergeant Willets was on duty in the inner hall. Hearing the alarm, he sent an NCO to the first floor to warn those above and hastened himself to the door towards which a police officer was thrusting those in the reception hall and office. He held the door open while all passed safely through, and then stood in the doorway, shielding those taking cover. In the next moment, the bomb exploded with terrible force, and Sergeant Willets was mortally wounded. His duty did not require him to enter the threatened area. His post was elsewhere. He knew well, after 4 months' service in Belfast, the peril of going towards a terrorist bomb, but he did not hesitate. All those approaching the door from the far side agreed that if they had to check to open the door, they would have perished. Even when those in the room had reached the rear passage, Sergeant Willets waited, placing his body as a screen to shelter them. By this considered act of bravery, he risked and lost his life for those of the adults and children, and was posthumously awarded the George Cross. I mentioned that Sergeant Michael Willetts was a member of the Parachute Regiment, and I'm delighted that we have members of that regiment here with us this evening. Gentlemen, would you please stand? Well, we welcome you. Thank you. The recipient this evening of the Willets Trophy is Chris Leivers, a paramedic team leader with East Midlands Ambulance Service, and his citation says this. Chris had been called to respond to a male who was threatened to jump from an 8-storey high car park. Police negotiators had been on scene a while, and when the patient asked for an ambulance person, Chris made his way up. As Chris got to the patient, he was hanging on from the side of the building by his fingertips. Chris and the negotiators rushed over to grab the patient, but his jacket started to slip off. Without a second thought, Chris leaned over the side of the building and grabbed the patient's belt area and was able to get a good enough grip to pull the patient back to safety. Chris's actions saved this person's life. He exceeded what he was expected to do and demonstrated great bravery, showing his dedication to his patients. The Vice Lord Lieutenant of Nottinghamshire, Colonel Tim Richmond, has kindly agreed to make the presentation to tonight's deserving recipient, Chris Leivers. I lurk with microphone in hand. Being asked to say a few words, which I'm now doing, must be child's play compared to what you did. I mean, we're all in awe of what you did. What did you think at the time when you were faced with that challenge?
At the time, I don't think it's actually a conscious decision what you do. It just seems the right thing to do. You're in that place, that person's in need, and you do what's necessary.
The citation reads as if there was a moment or two when it was touch and go.
Well, when I first approached, I thought that the police officers had the gentleman, so I wasn't in a rush really, until I saw the jacket turning inside out, and the police officers were shouting, "We haven't got him." Another police officer was running behind me, and I just shouted to him, "Can you get hold of me?" So he got hold of my waist, and I went over the edge of the building and just managed to get hold of his belt, because I thought, well, if I just get hold of his jacket, we'll be waving goodbye.
Chris, have you ever before or since been involved in anything like it?
I have to say no. But what I would like to say is the Willets Award is awarded every year by East Midlands Ambulance Service. And this year I was only one of 7 nominees, and the other 6 nominees were all very deserving cases. So I'm very proud to receive this award, and thank you.
And we're proud of you. Well done. Well done.